David Fetter, Executive Editor Technical for Prepared Foods, and welcome to a Prepared Foods series on technical trends and new product development. Today, we're taking a few minutes with Nick Fallucca. He's Chief Product and Innovation Officer for the family-owned Palermo Villa Inc. They're makers of Palermo's Pizza. Hi, Nick. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be on. I love your magazine and really great insights on all the articles. So it's an honor and a pleasure to be on talking with you today.
Oh, well, thank you. The honor's all ours. I got to tell you, pizza's been a major comfort favorite for decades. In fact, I don't think college students could survive without pizza. So, with the billions of pizza enjoyed in this country every year, there must be challenges in coming up with something new enough to excite, but not so far off the edge that it falls flat. So just tell me, what do you look for when you embark on innovating a new pie?
Well, I think the first thing we look at is there a consumer need for this item? I mean, if there's no need, then, why do it? It's like, we should come up with the next cheese pizza. Well, there's already, 76 cheese pizzas out there. But if there's a reason why that product is needed, then go for it. One of maybe a relevant opportunities is, people are projecting that there's going to be a recession next year, and people are going to be more strapped with their wallet and their checkbook. So, is there a better maybe value pizza that people are looking for next year? That's somewhere in between that super premium as prices continue to increase, but people don't want that the old $2 pizza of the past. And then is there a customer need? And the difference is you're the consumer, you're going to the store and you're buying our frozen pizza. But let's say that you're Walmart or Kroger or Costco. Do you have a specific need state in your set when developing that pizza? And we'll develop a pizza differently with specifically the consumer in mind, but then also for that customer in mind. What does that retailer need? And the difference maybe between what Whole Foods needs versus Walmart needs are very different. But then you're going back to the consumer and saying, who is your consumer that's shopping your store? What are they looking for? And how do we make the best pizza that fits your needs?
Got it. So taking your cheese pizza as an example, it could be a case of, Whole Foods wants a cheese pizza, but they want you to put a little burrata or something on it.
Correct.
And Walmart, they're going to be at a different price point and palate point, perhaps. I'm not making assumptions.
Yeah,
but
exactly. And then the other way is, do we just believe it's the next big thing? Did people believe that they needed the iPhone before the iPhone came out? So that's another way and that's more difficult then, because you have to educate the consumer that you need this item because it's better than what you've been getting, for so many years. So there's just different ways that we look at just that product development and why are we developing this pizza in general or food product. So, I mean, again, so if you're looking at those need states, I think with the consumer, I think there's two areas that there's more than two areas, but the two there we're looking at is one, I think next year, that great value. And what does value mean? Well, if you're buying a $36 wood-fired pizza from your favorite restaurant, that has all the hopefully your pizza's not $36, but if you're getting a few of them, for takeout, I'll still get delivery at my house, and the bill is easily $50, for a few pizzas. And so maybe our ultra premium pizzas that are delivering that real restaurant quality is still a value, considering that, for under $10, you're getting a really great frozen pizza that's going to fill the full family. But also the people that might have been buying that $10 frozen pizza maybe aren't going to be able to afford that $10 frozen pizza. So instead of just passing on these massive price increases that we're seeing in the industry right now, how about we develop something that we know is going to be the best bang for your buck within in that space that's still going to satisfy the entire family.
And yet still have that premium feel. Now,
Correct.
I do have to ask, do you want me to edit out the part where you admit to getting delivery pizza?
No, you can leave that in there. I think it's
research.
fun.
It's research.
Oh yeah, I love it. I mean, and we'll talk about competitors' pizzas and other restaurant pizzas. My family and I, we love trying other pizza. We love going to restaurants, and we love talking to restaurateurs and pizza. We're pizza connoisseurs in general. So
there you go. So would you say then that I mean, you've given us the 30,000-foot view of your creative process, but would you say that your creative process, when you get down to actually developing the pie you've chosen to make, are you ingredient driven or concept driven?
we're both, and so I'll kind of explain how both of those work. So for the concept driven, we have multiple ways of developing via concept. Each year we do about 50 different concepts in a concept screen. Yeah, from everything from pizzas to snacks to ice cream to whatever and everything in between, just to see what are consumers gravitating towards. Are they gravitating towards more health focused trends like keto or gluten-free, or are they more in the indulgent side like pan pizzas or Sicilian pizzas or stuffed crust? And then we take the rankings of all these 50 items, and we also look at our past scores, and we'll even test our past items to see, do people want this item? Is it something that is trending upwards or downwards? And then each year we'll try to launch our top items in that set, to see, again, trying to be relevant with the industry. And usually that gives us a pretty good guide of what we should launch. Now, is it always successful? Not necessarily. So that's one of the examples of a concept, but we get the ideas either from our internal team, where maybe it's just our CEO saying, hey, I want you guys to make the best wood-fired pizza because I think wood-fired is going to be the next big thing. And obviously, we can talk about wood-fired in general, but as an example, he'll maybe give us some ideas of things that he wants us to investigate. And if we have time, we'll put it actually through that concept test to see if it's resonating with consumers. And as I mentioned before, our customer, the retailer, is such an important piece, and they have really great insights into who their consumer is. And so they'll give us feedback saying, you know what, we believe that there's a gap in our premium thin crust set. So we want you guys to innovate around the best premium thin crust pizza that you guys can make. So those are kind of the multiple ways that we do the concept testing. And now that concept process, it can take over a year. It might take a few months to organize all 50 concepts, take pictures, understand what kind of price points it might be, what are the weights, actually creating some benchtop samples. So we had this, not ready to go concept, but I would say chef made, if you will, concept. You take the pictures and then you have to survey, hundreds of people, if not thousands, to say, is this a good concept? And then by the time that you actually enter it as a project and get it launched, that whole thing might take about a year. Now, and then you mentioned the ingredient side, sometimes there's just things that come along that you need to innovate around because it's such a hot item. So one of the hottest ones is the hot honey trend. We saw it many years ago, but it really didn't reach the critical mass as it is now. And so fortunately, we'll actually be launching a hot honey pizza. We've done some private label, but under our Screamin' Sicilian stuffed crust, we'll actually be doing a hot honey packet on that.
Really? But it's still a savory pizza.
It's still a savory pizza, but that the saltiness from the pepperoni and then the sweet heat from the honey really complements it really well. And that was a completely ingredient-driven trend that we didn't have concepts on. It was just that ingredient came along and we saw how popular it was in restaurants, that for us, we said, we need to jump on this and get it out to market fast.
So here's an interesting side question from me. So here you've got your savory pizzas. You want to add a hot honey to it. Would you actually say, we're going to add hot honey to an existing pizza concept that we have? Would you alter that existing concept and say, you know what, we've got, a little bit of sweetener in the tomato sauce. Let's tone that down so that we don't blow out, on the sweet side? Or would you, would you try it first and then make changes? It's just my own curiosity. With the process.
We look at the sauces in general with each of the pizza combinations, because this is an existing Screaming Sicilian stuffed crust platform. We want to stay true, and fortunately that is a more savory, a little bit of spicy sauce in general, so it doesn't have the sweetness in that sauce. But that is something that we definitely look at is how the different ingredients interact with each other. If you have a very salty pizza, maybe your sauce base needs to be a little sweeter. But also it's trying to balance, manufacturing efficiencies and supply chain, and not bringing in a unique raw material. And sometimes you have to try something that goes against our supply chain or manufacturing desires, because if we would just do everything supply chain and manufacturing would want, we would just make cheese pizzas all day.
Yeah. They need their challenges too.
They do. Yes, absolutely. And I think with our innovation, we provide them more than a few challenges on a weekly basis.
Good. So now we briefly mentioned competition, and let's face it, competition in pizzas is nothing short of overwhelming. And you said you do like to try different pizzas. How close attention do you pay to what's landing in the aisles from those competitors? And especially, what is it you're looking for when you do investigate them?
Yeah, I mean, we love looking at other pizzas. Like we're just pizza connoisseurs. We love everything about pizzas, from the good pizzas to the bad pizzas and everything in between. So what we first do is we try to look at the restaurant space, because frozen pizza is, roughly $6 billion. Pizza is $60 billion. So there's much more pizza innovation within restaurant pizza, because these chefs, especially local chefs, can really try new trends without having to affect a massive supply chain. You think about a one-unit store trying something new versus a Pizza Hut trying something new versus a Nestle trying something new. It's easier for that one store. So we look at pizza on the restaurant side. I'm actually going for pizza tomorrow. Every week, me and my friends, we try a different pizza place just to see what's new. But specifically in the frozen pizza space, we're fortunate in Wisconsin that we have more frozen pizza, available in Wisconsin than anywhere else in the country, and I'd even argue the world. There was a viral tweet recently of someone walking through a Woodman's, amazed by 3 to 4 aisles, not just freezers, aisles of frozen pizza. And so our team is always out there looking at what's new, and we say, whether it's a standard brand, like let's say a DiGiorno, they're always coming out with new items, but there's also new brands entering the marketplace. And
right.
So,
and even regional ones.
Correct. All the time. And so what we do is we look at, we'll try it. Does it live up to the taste? Is it a good tasting pizza? Which means, are people going to rebuy this pizza? And then also, how is it performing on a weekly basis? Does it come out of the gates really strong and then fizzle out? Does it come to the market soft, but then grows with their velocity and their consumer feedback? We'll even look at their social media and their media in general to say, what are they doing from a marketing standpoint? So we look at all these aspects on all of our competitors, because quite frankly, there's some really great competitors out there, and we need to make sure that we are staying relevant ourselves and understanding what the competition is doing, because we can't live in a vacuum.
Yeah, no, it makes absolute good sense. And it's interesting, your mention of even looking at their social media. That's some very good research, because you're getting direct feedback from their consumers. So it's fun. It's funny you mentioned Woodman's. I just moved back to Texas after a couple decades in Northwest Chicago suburbs, and I do miss Woodman's. And when I was asking that question, I had Woodman's in mind, because I remember going in there and seeing what you said, just aisle upon aisle of frozen pizza. So
Mhm. I think what's also interesting about that is sometimes a good pizza won't last in the marketplace for whatever reason. Maybe it was priced too high. Maybe it didn't have enough awareness. Maybe there was a supply chain issue. And then conversely, sometimes pizzas that aren't good end up sticking around for longer than they should. And so it's kind of understanding the why. Why is this pizza doing so well, and this pizza might not be? And then comparing all those sales velocity numbers to our own. So yeah, competition's a big piece of what we look at.
Now, we talked a little bit about suppliers and their influences, and what influence do ingredient suppliers have on the process of creating a new pie or reformulating one already in the portfolio? Because you touched on it a bit, and I thought I might go ahead and ask, how closely you watched the ingredient world in relation to your craft.
Yeah, I would say pre-COVID, it was more about either true innovation. Hey, bring us whatever your new unique innovation item might be. Maybe it's jalapenos in the pepperoni, or something that's really cool and unique. And then also the making sure that you're getting the best price possible. So pre-COVID, there was lots of supply of lots of ingredients, and you can go out and do these RFPs, and consumers could, or custom suppliers could really bid on the really unique ingredients at a really great price. And they were hungry for all this new unique items. Now, fast forward, it's a lot more focused on what's actually going to be available for the amount of products you're looking to order. So the minimum order quantities have actually increased, because it's easier to make more of one item than less of three items. And so while they might be getting a better premium price on the two of the three items, from a manufacturing efficiency and just that overall supply chain, it has really constrained us of what we're able to do. And again, maybe it just affects the minimum order quantity. And so we have to say, is this an item that we're willing to lean in on and commit to X volume, because that manufacturer of that item, that's what makes sense for them. And so these little unique innovation items are becoming harder to come by, especially on from the bigger suppliers. And then from the smaller suppliers, you have to make sure that they can support your volume, not just on that first order, but continuously throughout the supply chain process. And if that item does take off, are they able to meet your demands if you decide to expand your product into larger retailers? And so I think that's been the probably the most difficult shift. Is we used to just be able to ask for everything, and we got so many options of pepperonis and cheeses and sausages and vegetables, and that's becoming much harder today.
Yeah, I know of some product makers who have run into that issue that you talk about. It's almost like a catch-22.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be difficult. Let's hope that sorts out over the next few years.
And I think it's important also to form a good relationship with your suppliers. Say, what, I'm going to buy bulk this item because we're going to run this every day. However, we really need you to help lean in on trying this unique item. We know it might cost more, but we need to try it, because if we don't try it, someone else is going to figure it out. And so we want our partners, and it goes from our supply chain partners to us, to our customers, saying, let's all go in with eyes wide open. that maybe it will work, maybe it won't, but let's plan for that versus planning this is going to be the next huge thing and then it doesn't work. Let's say we're going to test it. So if we all go in eyes wide open, then people are much more receptive to trying something new.
Yeah. Do you ever, speaking of smaller use ingredients, I guess you could say, do you ever get in mind to actually set a trend yourselves where you say, you know what, I was in Italy on vacation, ran into this, type of sausage or cheese or something that, we don't have great access to here, but I think the consumer is going to love it and I want to try it. And I mean, do you ever say, let's see if we can get everybody, buying into such and such a cheese? Do you ever take
We
that
do.
leap?
Yeah. And yeah, we will try that. I mean, throughout our company's history, we've tried some very successful and some not as successful of being, we're going to be the first ones to do this. And we believe it's going to work, but if it doesn't, what's our backup plan? Because if we don't do that, then we're just going to be stagnant. And then someone else is going to come along and do that, because while we think we're special in our innovation, other companies are traveling to Italy and whatnot and getting great ideas. So yeah, definitely. But just being very upfront again with our supply chain partners and our customers, this is new and we'd love to try it with you. And sometimes the retail partner will say, well, if I'm going to get an exclusive on this, then I'm the first one to market. Then they're excited to do it with us.
Oh yeah, good. That's a good way to set it up. So leapfrogging off of that, what would you say has been the greatest development in pizzas in the past, recent few years? And also, what do you think is going to be the next major development in the field?
I think in the last few years, just crust technology is getting better. The way that people are able to, whether it's ferment their doughs, adding better ingredients, and there's been good crust throughout the years, but I think there's just more work being done on getting your crust closer to the restaurant, more similar to a restaurant than just saying this is a frozen pizza that's good. It's how do we emulate the restaurants? One of the things that we've seen is, you mentioned gluten-free. I think gluten-frees have come a really long way on how they might have started, but then now there's some pretty good gluten-free pizzas out there because they really focus on that dough or that batter that's used for it.
Right. No, it's been major change in the gluten-free arena. It's, as you said, they're getting closer and closer to parity with a gluten based dough or crust, and it is quite impressive. So what do you think then will be the next major development in the field?
I think it's close. It's even closer to restaurant. I think it's the use of aged and fermented doughs. Whoever can figure out how to actually ferment doughs 24 hours. I think that's going to be a big piece moving forward. We've already started to work with some of those products, and we've worked with using an aging system. So maybe not the entire dough ball is aged 24 hours, but maybe you have a fermentation tank that's got 24-hour dough that's in there, in the form of an abiga or a sponge, that we're actually putting into our dough so that it's eating more like that true 24-hour dough. And I think that will be, you're seeing it right now in smaller restaurants that are able to work in a 5,000 square foot space to make their own product. Unfortunately, they can't expand beyond that right now. But I think that's going to be something that someone's going to figure out.
Okay, so can you share with us what's next for Palermo specifically? Nothing proprietary, of course. Just something you're willing to tell the masses here.
So so crust for us is big. That unique crust platform. So there's kind of what we've also seen is the rise of pan. These really great pan items out there, whether it's Sicilian or deep dish or Detroit or whatnot. People like that crispy cheese around the edge on that pan. And so we have this item called a loaded pan, where it's actually pepperoni and cheese that's baked into the bottom of the crust on a pan. So it's easy to bake, and then that edge, the cheese kind of gets crispy, and so that's a really fun item for us that we launched. The other, as I mentioned, crust. We have a really amazing stuffed crust that we've just launched in a small test to see, is it, it's a higher price point item, and it's a really fantastic item. And so we're seeing how the consumer's responding to this item. And we're getting some really great like regional rotations on it. That's the item that we're actually putting the hot honey on. So that's really exciting. And then, we believe that there's more to be done in snacking. And so we have snacking and appetizers. So we have, it's called loaded breadsticks. And so it's like these crispy breadsticks that are in this bakeable pan or bakeable tray. And again, that edge gets that nice crispy edge. And we've got 5 really fun flavors that can be used as a snack or an appetizer.
Nice. It all sounds very exciting, especially the fermented dough. That's something I didn't expect. I think that's going to be a hit.
Yeah.
at least for me. Nick, we are out of time. I could do this all day. It's a wonderful subject. Unfortunately, we're out of time. So I want to thank you for sharing your expertise and insight with us today. But I also want to ask if you're willing to come back again sometime.
Absolutely. I'd love to. Okay. Maybe ahead of time, we'll send you some of those wonderful pizzas so you can try them ahead of time.
Yeah, hey, I won't complain. So I also want to thank our audience members out there for joining us. I hope you had as much fun as I did, and I hope Nick did. This is one of our favorite foods, so it was fascinating to me. I'm David Fetter, Executive Editor Technical for Prepared Foods Media. This was a talk with Nick Fallucca. He's Chief Product and Innovation Officer for Palermo Villa Inc. They're the makers of Palermo's Pizza. Be sure to check out our Pizza Report. It's our feature article on pizza trends in the January issue of our e-magazine. And Palermo's had a hand helping us with that as well through their guy, Mike Levinson. He really came through and gave us some good information, as did Nick and Rebecca. So I want to thank the whole Palermo's team there. Also, when you're checking out Pizza Report, the feature article, check out our media menu at preparedfoods.com. You'll find an abundance of information, and that includes more videos, podcasts, articles, and resources of value for today's food and beverage makers. Thanks again for joining us, and look forward to the next time. Thanks. Bye.